I, 34M, never thought I'd be writing a post like this. Margaret, 32F, and I have been married for 8 years, together for 12. We met during our sophomore year of college. I was this quiet, nerdy computer science major, and she was a vivacious art history student. We were paired up for a group project in a general education class, and despite our differences, we hit it off immediately. Margaret came from a wealthy family in New York. Her parents were high-powered lawyers who always pushed her to follow in their footsteps. But Margaret had other ideas. She wanted to pursue her passion for art, much to her parents' disappointment. I admired her courage to follow her dreams, despite the pressure. My background was quite different. I grew up in a small town in Ohio, raised by a single mom who worked 2 jobs to make ends meet. I got into college on a scholarship and was determined to make something of myself. Margaret and I bonded over our shared desire to forge our own paths in life. After graduation, we both landed jobs in Seattle's booming tech industry. I started as a software developer at a startup, while Margaret got a job managing social media for a trendy art gallery. We were young, in love, and excited about building a life together in a new city. We got married 2 years after moving to Seattle. It was a small, intimate ceremony, just close friends and family. Margaret's parents didn't approve of her marrying a small-town nobody, their words, so they didn't attend. It hurt Margaret deeply, but she put on a brave face. I promised her that day that I'd always be there for her, that we'd create our own family. The first few years of our marriage were amazing. We both advanced in our careers, bought a cozy apartment in a hip neighborhood, and traveled whenever we could. We decided early on that we didn't want kids. Instead, we focused on our relationship and personal growth. Margaret got into yoga about 3 years ago. She said it helped her deal with the stress of her job, which had become more demanding as she climbed the corporate ladder. I was supportive, happy that she found something she enjoyed. I even tried it a few times myself, but quickly realized I wasn't cut out for it. I preferred to spend my free time on photography, a hobby I'd picked up in college. Everything seemed perfect. We had good jobs, a nice home, shared interests, and a strong relationship. Or so I thought. About 6 months ago, Margaret started going to a new yoga studio closer to our house. She was really excited about it, saying the classes were more challenging and the instructor was great. I was happy for her, glad she found something she enjoyed so much. Looking back, I should have seen the signs. She started spending more time at the studio, sometimes going for extra classes or workshops. She'd come home later than usual, always with some excuse about traffic or grabbing a smoothie with her yoga friends. I didn't think much of it at the time. I trusted her completely. Last month, I decided to surprise Margaret by picking her up after her yoga class. I had just finished a big project at work and thought we could celebrate with a nice dinner. I got to the studio a bit early and waited in the parking lot. That's when I saw them. Margaret walked out with this young, fit guy. He had the typical yoga instructor look, man bun, tattoos, the works. They were laughing about something, and then, right there in the parking lot, they kissed. It wasn't a friendly peck on the cheek either. It was a full-on, passionate kiss. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I just sat there, frozen, watching my wife of 8 years make out with some guy in a parking lot. After what felt like an eternity, they finally broke apart. Margaret got into her car and drove off, completely oblivious to my presence. I didn't confront her that night. I couldn't. I was too shocked, too hurt. I made up some excuse about working late and stayed at a hotel. The next few days were a blur. I went through the motions at work, barely able to focus on anything. At home, I tried to act normal, but I could feel the tension building. Finally, after a week of this torture, I confronted Margaret. I told her what I saw and asked her to explain. She broke down immediately, crying and begging for forgiveness. She said it was a mistake, that it didn't mean anything. She swore it was just a physical thing, that she still loved me. I asked her how long it had been going on. 6 months, she said. 6 fucking months. Half of our marriage had been a lie. I felt sick. She tried to explain, saying she felt neglected because I'd been working long hours on my latest project. She said the yoga instructor, Donald, made her feel desirable and young again. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Had she forgotten all the times I'd supported her career, even when it meant sacrificing my own opportunities? Had she forgotten the trips we took, the life we built together? I've been staying at a friend's place for the past week, trying to figure out what to do. Margaret keeps calling and texting, begging me to come home so we can work things out. But I don't know if I can ever trust her again. The thing is, I'm not just hurt. I'm angry. I want her to feel the pain she's caused me. I want her to understand what it's like to have your world shattered in an instant. I've been thinking about ways to get back at her, to make her suffer like I'm suffering. I know it's probably not healthy, but I can't help it. I keep imagining ways to ruin her life like she's ruined mine. Maybe I could expose her affair at work. She's always been so concerned about her professional image. Or tell all our friends and family what she did. Part of me even wants to go after Donald, make him pay for messing with a married woman. I know I should probably just file for divorce and move on, but the thought of her getting away with this without any consequences makes my blood boil. I want justice, or maybe just revenge. I keep thinking about our wedding day, how happy and in love we were. I remember promising to always be there for her, to be her family. Now I feel like a fool for believing in those promises. So Reddit, what do you think? Am I crazy for wanting to get back at her? Or is it normal to feel this way after being betrayed? Any advice on how to move forward would be appreciated. I feel lost and alone, and I don't know what to do next. Edit. Thanks for all the responses. I'm reading through them and trying to process everything. To those asking why I haven't filed for divorce yet, I'm working on it. I've contacted a lawyer and I'm gathering all the necessary documents. I just need some time to get my head straight before I make any big moves. Update 1. It's been about a month since my last post, and a lot has happened. First off, I want to thank everyone for their advice and support. It really helped me get through some dark days. I decided not to go through with any elaborate revenge plans. As tempting as it was, I realized it would probably just make me feel worse in the long run. Instead, I've been focusing on taking care of myself and preparing for the divorce. I moved out of our shared apartment and found a small place of my own. It's not much, but it's mine, and it's free from all the painful memories of my life with Margaret. I've been throwing myself into work and spending more time on my photography hobby. It helps keep my mind off things. As for Margaret, she's been relentless in her attempts to reconcile. She's shown up at my workplace, sent countless messages, and even tried to get our mutual friends to intervene on her behalf. It's exhausting, to be honest. The worst part was when she showed up at my new place. I still don't know how she found out where I live. She was crying, saying she'd do anything to make it work. She even suggested couples therapy. I told her it was too late for that and asked her to leave. She refused, so I had to threaten to call the police before she finally left. I've started the divorce proceedings. My lawyer says it should be relatively straightforward since we don't have kids or many shared assets. Still, it's a painful process, dismantling the life we built together. One thing that's been particularly difficult is dealing with our friends and family. Most of them didn't know about the affair, and Margaret had been spinning a story about us, just going through a rough patch. I finally decided to set the record straight. I didn't go into all the sordid details, but I made it clear that Margaret had been unfaithful, and that our marriage was over because of her actions. The reactions have been mixed. Some friends have been incredibly supportive, offering help and a listening ear. Others seem uncomfortable with the whole situation and have distanced themselves. Margaret's family, unsurprisingly, has taken her side and has been quite hostile towards me. Her father even called to berate me for throwing away a good thing. It was all I could do not to laugh bitterly at the irony. My mom has been my rock through all of this. She flew out from Ohio to stay with me for a week, helping me get settled into my new place and just being there for me. We had a lot of long talks about relationships, trust, and moving forward. She shared some things about her own past that I never knew, including why she and my dad split up. It gave me a new appreciation for everything she went through raising me on her own. As for Donald, the yoga instructor, I haven't done anything about him. Part of me still wants to confront him, to make him face what he's done, but I know it's not worth it. He's not the one who made vows to me. Margaret is the one who betrayed me, and she's the one I'm cutting out of my life. There have been moments of weakness where I've considered giving Margaret another chance. The loneliness can be overwhelming at times, and there's a part of me that misses the life we had. But then I remember the look on her face when I confronted her about the affair, and I know I can never trust her again. I've been trying to keep busy to avoid dwelling on things too much. I signed up for a local photography class, hoping to improve my skills and maybe meet some new people. It's been good to focus on something creative and challenging. Work has been both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, it's a welcome distraction. On the other, It's hard to concentrate sometimes when my mind keeps wandering back to Margaret and the affair. My boss has been understanding, thankfully. I finally told him what was going on, and he's been great about giving me some flexibility with my hours. For now, I'm taking it one day at a time. Some days are better than others. I'm trying to focus on the future and rebuild my life. It's not easy, but I know it's necessary. I've been thinking a lot about what I want for my future. Before all this happened, Margaret and I had been talking about starting our own business together. Now, I'm wondering if I should pursue that dream on my own. It's scary to think about, but also exciting. I'll update again when there are significant developments in the divorce proceedings or if anything major happens. Thanks again for all your support, Reddit. It means more than you know. Update 2. It's been another couple of months, and I wanted to give you all an update on my situation. The divorce is moving forward, albeit slower than I'd like. There have been some complications with dividing our assets, particularly our shared investment portfolio. Margaret's lawyer is pushing for a larger share, claiming that her career sacrifices early in our marriage entitle her to more. It's frustrating, but my lawyer assures me we have a strong case. In the meantime, I've been trying to focus on personal growth. I joined a gym and started working out regularly. It's been great for managing stress and helps me sleep better at night. I've also been seeing a therapist to work through my trust issues and anger. It's not easy, but I'm slowly starting to feel like myself again. Work has been a welcome distraction. I threw myself into a big project, and it's paying off. My boss noticed my extra efforts and hinted at a possible promotion in the near future. It's nice to have something positive to focus on. As for Margaret, she's finally stopped trying to contact me directly. However, she's now using our mutual friends as intermediaries. It's put some of our friendships in an awkward position. A few friends have told me that Margaret's been painting herself as the victim, claiming that I'm being unreasonable by not giving her a second chance. It's infuriating, but I'm trying not to let it get to me. I ran into Donald, the yoga instructor, at a local coffee shop last week. It was incredibly awkward. He tried to apologize, saying he didn't know Margaret was married. I didn't buy it for a second. I told him to save his apologies and walked out. It shook me up more than I'd like to admit, but I'm proud of myself for not losing my cool. On a more positive note, I've started dating again. Nothing serious, just casual coffee meetups and such. It's been nice to connect with new people who don't know my history. It's helping me remember that there's life after Margaret. The hardest part lately has been dealing with the holidays. This will be the first Thanksgiving and Christmas I've spent alone in nearly a decade. My family has invited me to join them, but the thought of all the pitying looks and awkward conversations is almost worse than being alone. I'm considering taking a solo trip instead, maybe do some photography in a national park. I've been thinking a lot about the future lately. Before all this happened, Margaret and I had talked about starting our own tech company. Now, I'm considering pursuing that dream on my own. It's scary, but also exciting. I've been working on a business plan in my free time, and I'm starting to think it might actually be viable. That's all for now. I'll update again when the divorce is finalized, or if anything significant happens. Thanks again for all your support, Reddit. It's been a huge help during this difficult time. Update 3. Hello everyone. It's been about 6 months since my last update, and I wanted to share some final thoughts on this chapter of my life. The divorce was finalized last month. It was a long and draining process, but it's finally over. In the end, we settled on a fairly equal division of assets. Margaret got to keep the apartment, and I got a larger share of our investments. It's not ideal, but I'm just glad it's done. I've moved to a new city for work. The promotion I mentioned in my last update came through, but it required relocation. At first, I was hesitant about such a big change, but now I see it as a fresh start. New job, new city, new life. I haven't spoken to Margaret since the divorce was finalized. Last I heard, she's still with Donald. They moved in together shortly after our divorce was settled. It stung at first, but I'm surprised to find I don't really care anymore. They're just two people I used to know. My photography hobby has turned into something more serious. I've had a few of my photos published in a local magazine, and I'm working on putting together an exhibition. It's exciting to have a creative outlet that's just for me. Dating is still casual, but I'm enjoying meeting new people without the pressure of a serious relationship. I'm not ready for that yet, but I'm open to the possibility in the future. The business idea I mentioned in my last update is slowly becoming a reality. I've been working on it in my spare time, and I recently pitched it to a few potential investors. They seemed interested, so who knows? Maybe in a year or two I'll be running my own company. My relationship with my mom has gotten even stronger through all of this. We talk almost every day now, and she's planning to visit me in my new city next month. It's nice to have that solid family support. I still have moments where I think about Margaret and our life together. Sometimes I miss the good times we had. But then I remember the betrayal, the lies, and I know I made the right decision. I'm building a new life now, one that's entirely my own. To anyone going through something similar, hang in there. It gets better. Focus on yourself, surround yourself with supportive people, and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. This will be my final update on this situation. Thank you all for your support and advice throughout this journey. It's meant more than you know.